Hello, Rise Up Visionaries. I'm Susan May, and I'm here to share my journey to inspire you on your journey of unplugging. So, today's topic is the question, is peace possible? And I sent out an email to my list this morning, my weekly newsletter, with the same America. I don't want to talk about it specifically. I think most of you watching will know what I'm talking about. There is a lot of sadness. So if you're watching this in the future, it's not May 25th. This will always be relevant. But I can just say that I know for myself, I had some sadness this morning, both because of current events and things going on in my personal life. And I imagine the same is true for many people in America and the world. So, that email, and I started this conversation with you all on Monday about peace and internal peace specifically. And I had that email all set up to send before said sad current event occurred. But friends, your community. Okay? So I think we've all heard the expression that peace begins at home. And I think most of us recognize the truth in that, because bigger bad things in the world happen because of you individuals and because of things that snowball and get bigger in our society. So even more specifically than that, not just beginning in an individual home where right now it's mostly nuclear families, right? Moms, dads, and their children. It's up to each of us to cultivate peace within inside of us. So peace is an inside job. So on Monday, I asked in my Gather and Get Moving group and publicly here for you to tell me times when you felt peace. And people came up with some great examples. They feel peace when they're walking on the beach or in the woods. A lot of nature came up. Doing yoga, listening to classical music. When they've just taken care of something in their homes or their pets or their children, and they're feeling really good about that. So, and I have specific moments in my life that I remember, and there's one that sticks out really strongly. I was young, around 20 years old, and I know I was that age because I was on my college campus, and I was walking across this area right outside one of the dorms, and it was a beautiful day. And I was not walking with anyone, so I was kind of alone. But of course, there's people everywhere. There's students, there's other students walking around. We're going to our classes, we're going back to our dorms. And I just felt this deep contentment in the pit of my stomach, throughout my body. It was probably sunny out. Maybe some birds were singing their songs. I don't know. But I just felt very present. I felt happy and calm and content. And I remember that feeling and wanting it to stay forever. And since that time, I've always tried to figure out, like, how can I create that in my life? How can I cultivate more and more time in that state of peace? And so when I think of peace, I want to think of the opposite too. What's the opposite of peace? Anxiety for me is very much the opposite of peace, because I can feel anxiety in my body. It's like a coiled up spring. It's a tension. It's a need to move and to do something, but it's not focused. So it's more like agitation. Anger, pretty much opposite of peace. But then I start thinking about other feelings like passion, sadness, exhaustion. Can those feelings coexist with peace? Can peace be the underlying state that we attain? And I believe that the answer is yes. Even when things in the world and our lives are not perfect, which they never will be, we can cultivate peace in our lives. And I've been doing this, like I said, for a long time. This is something I created in 2013. It was inspired by Danielle Laporte, called a desire map. And she talks about identifying core desire feelings. And so these 4 colorful words were my desired feelings. Connected. I always want to feel connected and in good relationship with people. On fire, peaceful, and valuable. And even back then, I thought to myself, can I be on fire and peaceful? On fire to me is like that passion, that driving force that like, I really want to do something. And so all of these words that I put in here and around the outside, these were things that I can do to nurture those things. So being on fire and feeling peaceful, I have writing, music, be still, and move, which you can see are kind of opposite, right? Down here I have meditate and organize. But I wondered, can I really be passionate and peaceful at the same time? And for a long time I thought, it's very difficult. I'm not sure if I can do that. And I'm finally at a place in my life where I can tell you, yes, I can be living out my passion, feel very passionate about things, but have this underlying peace, which feels amazing, I can tell you, because it's like a calmness that you bring to your purpose in life. So lately I can feel peaceful more and more, even if I'm sad or tired. And what helps with that is accepting those feelings. When we accept that it's okay to have feelings and we allow the feelings to pass through us, we allow ourselves to have time to process them, to talk about them with people we love if we need to do that. That acceptance is what allows the feelings to flow. It allows us to remain in peace, and it allows them to pass through and for us to move on to another feeling. It's also about accepting what's not in my control. So all of this is related. And I'm going to bring this one up. Il faut cultiver nos jardins. I know I'm not saying it the way the French say it, but you have to bear with me. This is so important. Knowing what's going on in the world and how people are feeling like they don't have control, they feel sad, maybe a little depressed. It's so important for us to get laser focused on what's in our control, and that's our garden. What is your garden? Okay? My garden is my family, and now it's Rise Up with Susan May. It's my business. This is my garden. And when you are so focused on something that's important to you, it keeps you on track, regardless of what's going on in the world. And that if you look up the Voltaire writing on this, he says, don't get caught up in the world. You're never going to solve things at the political level. You're not going to solve humanity's problems. What can we do? We can heal ourselves. We can heal our family relationships. And that will bring more peace to our lives and our community lives. Okay? I want to share with you a recent, very profound realization that I had. I was thinking about how, from an outside perspective, and maybe friends and family look at me and think I'm changing. They're like, wow, Susan's changed a lot. You know, she's different. She has different ideas. She's living her life differently than she used to and compared to other people. But I had this realization, and I can't remember if it was a year ago or a few months ago, but I realized I'm not changing. I'm not like the inside part of me that is being transformed. It's not changing. It's more of a healing and a returning to my true self. It's a returning to wholeness and to how humanity is meant to be, how you are meant to be, how I am meant to be, how we are all meant to be. And what do I mean by that? I mean that living in a state of anxiety, of agitation, and worry are not states that we are meant to live in for long periods of time. We are not our true selves. So all of this stuff that's going on in the world, we end up fighting about it, right? We get into it with our friends on Facebook and our neighbors and our family about what we think the answer is. The answers as Jim Gale likes to say, are actually fairly simple. The answers are becoming our whole best selves and raising children that are their whole best selves. And recognizing that there's a lot of messed up things going on in the world, and we can't put that on other people. We have to recognize that it's us that has to change the messed up things in the world. We need to raise our children in a different way and live in a different way. Okay, so I realized I'm not changing in a way that like, I'm not explaining this very well, but the thing to know is that I'm returning to what I was meant to be, to what all of humans are meant to be. We're meant to live in the moment and to be calm and to be connected with others. Fear, living in fear or anxiety, fear is a useful emotion when there's an immediate danger. That's what fear is for, to get you out of danger. Living in a state of fear is not natural. So any entity or organization or power that tries to keep us in fear is out of alignment with how we should be, okay? So this may not make sense to some of you, what I'm saying, but maybe some of you are curious or it feels right, but you're just not sure what to do with it. So I want you to know that there are steps you can take to return to the state of peace and calm, of wholeness in your life. It's so important. This work is so important because as you will heal, you become more energized and purposeful. Okay? So I've broken down 5 steps, 5 crucial steps that you can take starting today to get on this path to peace and purpose in your life. Okay? And I've put it into a free guide for you. So I mentioned it on Monday. I mentioned it again. I'm going to put it in the comments, a link. Get this free guide and start making changes in your life today. I'm also really excited to announce that starting tomorrow, I am opening up a new project for Rise Up with Susan May, and that is one-on-one coaching. And so if you feel like you need more and that I can help you, then that is a way for you to work with me. I'm going to be announcing the details tomorrow. So you can get your free guide, get on your path to peace today. Start now. And be on the lookout for these details about coaching. I love you all so much, and like I said recently, I chose Medical Freedom Advocates as the people I want to serve in this business because it's so important for you to be strong, for your families to be strong. I want you to be your strongest and most whole and healthy selves so that you can start building this world in the way that I know is possible. So please leave me a message. Get that free guide down below, and please stay in touch. I love you all very much. I got my peace garb on today. In my email, I talked about how it makes for easy gift giving. These earrings and this shirt are from my awesome sister. So if you want something more in your life, you have to focus on it. And wearing things, having things around your house, writing about it, talking about it are all ways to set intentions and bring more of that into your life. So that's something that I love to do. Okay, you know how I'm going to end this. Remember, be bold, be brave, be you, because who else is there to be? I love you all, and I will be back Monday with another live. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. Bye.